your dream. Are you getting my point now? If you enjoy feeding your dream, if you're feeding your dream, that is what I can see. Happiness supports you. Every night you should feed your dream to some extent before you retire for the day. If you really want the dream to deliver someday, that dream should not be like a small one like this. Too small for you to think of having a small dream. It's inside your age, your capacity, your energy and everything. Very high opportunity cost all of you have got. I'm sure you must be doing that. Opportunity cost, I say like, you can do so many things now, but you don't do all those so many things. You just try to do just one thing. And if that one thing also is not happening, this opportunity of having all this along and to make it realize that is lost forever. I think you have to make a conscious decision tonight. What do I actually want to have? Not have too many goals. You should not have too many goals. It's not that because I can do so many things, I should actually be doing so many things. You have to identify the more sharp you are in your vision, the more specific you are, you know where I want to go. I think the bigger energy you're able to create. In fact, I'm sure people have seen those synergization capacity that you have got a lens does. Have you seen that a lens?
Focus.
Yeah, just focus on them, the fire produces. The same energy. So just try taking a focus. And the focus should not be a small one. Focus should be a big one. Don't insult yourself. In fact, you should never insult 3 people. I always tell everybody. In fact, you don't have a choice for those 3 things. You want to learn those 3 things? Yeah. One thing you should never ever insult because you don't have a choice is your mother. Mothers have choice of the kids. No? They have kids, so many kids, your siblings, brothers, sisters. But you don't have a choice. Just got one mother, right? Nobody has got 2 mothers. Just one. So cannot ever insult, cannot ever ignore mother. That's the first thing, all of us. Second is the father. You don't have a choice of father also. Somebody somewhere decided for you, and that's it. You must respect it and accept. You have choices of everything, brothers, sisters, friends, sadly spouses also. The choice there is also for. And there is still more sadly for God. If you're not getting something here on this, you can get there. Not this dargah, that dargah. I think you have a choice of God also. But not a choice for mother, not a choice for father. And third, you don't have a choice for is for your own self. I think celebrate yourself. Whoever you are, whatever you are, you must celebrate yourself. Keep this in good humor. Most often I found a lot of kids like you, they quite often accept lots of negatives about our own self. And especially when we go around talking to people, it's like, oh, tu ye nahi kar sakti, tere se nahi hoga, tere bas ki nahi hai. And we get so baptized by their obedience, we end up accepting, yes, I cannot do it. Come on, whatever you're going to do in this life is all going to be done by you alone. And we are all biologically, I would say, not different even by 0.5%. I think 0.5% will become chimpanzee. So that's the kind of small gap that we have got. We all same, except for the fact that we tend to accept sometimes big and sometimes we say like, no, I cannot do it. I suppose I always like to mention, and I'm really very fond of that advertisement which says, Limca guide hai na? Dekha aap logon ne? Pyas padhao. Have you seen that? It's a beautiful motivating line for me. Just थोड़ी सी प्यास बढ़ाओ. एक छोटा सा you have to make a bigger dream. Your reach is always higher than your hold. Where I'm standing is my hold, and where I can prove myself is my reach. You are limitless. Accept that. Tell 100% to yourself. But it's not like that. You just wish the dream will travel. Now I have decided that that is my dream, and I start feeding my dream. And your behavior is the food of your dream. If you have a behavior like a good, decent neighbor, you become a good, decent neighbor. If you have behavior like a good daughter, you become a good daughter. If you behavior like a good friend, you become very popular in the college. If you behavior like that, Quite often, our behavior and our goal is not in sync, and that's where we have a lot of problem in life. Please try syncing your behavior with your goal, or you change your goal. It's impossible that your behavior is like a very popular girl in the colony and you want to become an IAS officer someday. Not possible, not possible, not possible at all. Start behaving like one. And when you have the behavior getting done, synergized in that, and it's not impossible. You've seen a lot of young girls. I have all my career seen people like you around in my life. All of them, they have had diverse background. Don't look at the past. Don't look at the past. Don't look at the future also, because you're like, hey, it should be future oriented. No, no, no. Look at this moment. Look at the 1 hour that you have under control. And just try capitalizing this 1 hour to that goal. Of course, you will start breathing heavy. And that's good news, no? If you're climbing, you're breathing heavy. If everything is very smooth and nice and beautiful in life, the news is that you're going downhill. That's very sad news. So things should be rough in your life. 24 hours should be less in your life. If you, in this particular age of yours, if you find that no, I think I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, I can sleep as much as I want, the news is very bad. The news is very, very bad. Because whatever has to come will come. You must enjoy this whole excitement of your goal. Happiness of pursuit. Is that clear to you? Yes. Shall we rephrase the whole thing? Not pursuit of happiness. Happiness is not an end, and I think you have to enjoy what you want to do and make your own goal. Make it possible. Feed it every night. You're already better than most of the people that we are living on this planet Earth. You're already ahead just by virtue of being here. But then, whatever you are today is all what you did yesterday. Don't forget that. Extrapolating that, whatever you will tomorrow is what you're doing today. So I'm always emphasizing the same thing. Tonight, today, next 1 hour. So next 1 hour, today, tonight is what is important. And whatever I am doing in next 1 hour is basically going to be rewarded back to me. It's very small thing. It's very, very small thing that I'm talking about. It's all within us. First, I have requested you, celebrate yourself. Quite often we create wall in our own ways. You are beautiful. You are amazing. Look at your mirror and then you can say yourself, like, yes, I can do it. I mean, you must keep yourself in absolute good humor. I think I have to speak about your interview also and then how to go about it. But then I think I like to, one thing, make it very, very clear. In our lives, lots of people I see failures. In fact, everybody sees more failures than the success stories. But everybody talks about success stories. Nobody talks about the failures. See, one big reason of failures I have found is that I think they think that they have a lot of time. Abhi to bahut time hai, kar lenge. I mean, the same goal that you have got, somebody else also has got. And if you are not working, somebody is definitely working, and you know who will get it. So never ever think that you have got too much of time. Having too much of time, or some of them complain, I have got very little time. Maybe very little time. So actually, if I ask you, do you get less than 24 hours? Everybody gets the same 24 hours, isn't it? So how can we complain about time? We should always not worry about time management. There's no word like time management in my dictionary. It's only about priority management. So whatever you have got as a goal, if you keep that higher in priority, I suppose the automatically things start falling in place. So it is priority management, it's not time management from today onward. So one reason why I find people complaining about time, I have a lot of time, I don't have time, while the time is equal to everybody. So this is one reason of failure lots of people find. Another reason of failure I found, and I think I should be talking about failure too much, but then I think it is very important to warn ourselves that hey, I should not complain about time, first thing. The second thing that a lot of people complain about is that they do a lot of things, they add on. Look at all the achievers. Some very high achievers are very bad mothers, very bad fathers also. But they are somewhere achiever. So it is very important, don't try doing everything. If you try doing everything, you are not doing anything which is really very great. I think we have got so many achievers. Maricom, if you talk about, she's not like 10 more things. If you talk about Sachin Tendulkar, he may be 20 bad things to be one Sachin Tendulkar good. So if you do too many things, your energy gets spread, cracks happen. Identify one more and get after that. So doing too many things is another very sweet reason of failure, and I don't expect that anyone should be ever getting close to that. Identify that I want myself to be doing that. See what I want myself to be in after some time, and that's what it is. The third thing is a lot of people, this is the sweetest excuse. I'm sorry you already very learned to us. I'm talking very small things. What the sweetest excuse people would have for themselves for failing is, I'll do it well. अच्छे से करेंगे ना, बढ़िया से करेंगे, ठीक करेंगे. इसका मतलब कभी नहीं करेंगे. This is another very sweet excuse I found people to be failing in. That I am sleeping tonight, I'll get up early in the morning and study. Tell me, how many of you with this promise you have slept, got up early and then read? I doubt most of you, if you're not studying now, you're not studying again also. So these are the three basic reasons which I have found in my career for the people to be failing. One, time. या तो बोलते बहुत ज़्यादा है, if I'm mixing a little Hindi here, is that okay with you? या तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, या बोलते हैं बिल्कुल नहीं है, जबकि टाइम सबके पास बराबर है. ये टाइम मैनेजमेंट होता ही नहीं है, बड़ा टास्क मैनेजमेंट होता है. आप बोलो कि इसको इतना टाइम देना है, इसको इतना टाइम देना है, इसको इतना टाइम देना है, फिर टाइम बच जाएगा आपका. Normally we get after a task, but I should be expected to be sliced with time. The second reason of failure, I'm doing add-ons, and ये भी कर लेंगे, ये भी कर लेंगे, ये भी कर लेंगे, सब कर लेंगे, कोई भी अच्छा नहीं करेंगे. Nothing you'll be very proud of doing. I like you to now be very clear, because you are such stage of your life when you should be seeing your goal very clearly. Because this is so far, it's all very mechanical, hard-driven, like 10th करा तो 12th करा, 12th करा तो graduation करा तो कुछ लोग इसी में post graduation भी करते हैं. नहीं, don't be flowing like a herd. You take your own control now. You are at the right time to really take control of yourself, and then make that vision. Not do so many things. And the third reason of failure. Sorry again? Yes, I'll do it well. Perfection. There's nothing like perfection that we have got. Even nature cannot make perfect things. All of us have got so many difficulties. See, I can't see if I remove this. So, and don't expect from anybody. Expectation will always bring misery. If you want to expect something from anybody, it's got to be goddamn only you. Expectation. बहुत पहले बोला गया, अपेक्षा में बहुत दुख है. कोई अपेक्षा नहीं करनी, किसी से नहीं करनी है. I think my God will forgive me. खुदा से भी नहीं. बोलते रहते हैं, इतनी दिक्कतें मेरे को क्यों दी? If we cannot fulfill the expectations, aren't we foolish to expect by neighbors, by parents, by subordinates? These are the sweet excuses of failures we often acknowledge. Please never acknowledge any one of these. You take your own control and then see what you can do for yourself. I mean, I think you will be definitely thrown down so many times. But then, it depends. You could possibly be a crazy ball to bounce back, or you can be a pumpkin to break there. The life will definitely throw you down. Be prepared. Be very prepared. They are definitely going to throw you down, and that's when you are going to be different from others. You can be a crazy ball. I think I can see a lot of faces which look like crazy ball to me. Are you crazy ball? Yes, and you know how harder I throw, higher it goes. So let those people try you, let those goals try you, and say like, throw me harder you throw, I'll go higher. So every time a negative thing which encounters you, every day you feel like, hey, I don't feel like studying today, that day you have to prove yourself, I'll study 1 hour extra. And then celebrate yourself. You must have danced on somebody's party, no? Danced? कभी खुद के लिए डांस किया क्या? अपने लिए बहुत मस्त फीलिंग है. Just dance for yourself. Yes, and that's what you have to be your own cheerleaders. I can't expect the cheerleaders will come and then you do something and people will clap. They will only clap when you are a big achiever. But then before that, every step that you are taking is going to be really life-taking steps. Every step you are taking, and not expect any cheerleaders here. You have to be your own cheerleader. कभी करके देखना रात को मतलब अकेले में डांस करो तो बोलेंगे थोड़ी सी पता नहीं क्या हो गया इसको but you are crazy ball you are crazy ball you are not a pumpkin so you dance for yourself बहुत मजा आता है I think if you want to be somebody you have to keep yourself absolutely motivated. Talking about interview, my knowledge about interview is specialized at a very high level of this examination, as you know about IAS examination. If you ever met some IAS officers, मिले होंगे उनसे बात करा होगा देखा होगा अलग दिखते हैं क्या आपसे ऐसे तो दिखते हैं सर I think if I can quote Tina Dabi, she met me when she looked more like you. She was the second year only when we had, she's from Delhi, she is in your state now, and she looked exactly the same. But the only thing is that she was like so much in fire that I have to give this examination as if tomorrow. Every hour she would not let pass her eyes. I mean, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be difficult. I'm not saying that it's not going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult, but don't change your goal post. एक चीज ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा गोल पोस्ट तुरंत चेंज कर लेते हैं ये नहीं हो रहा ना ये करते हैं ये नहीं हो रहा तो ये कर लेते हैं ये नहीं होता ये कर लेते हैं चेंज योर शॉट्स एडजस्ट योर शॉट्स प्रैक्टिस योर शॉट्स डोंट चेंज योर गोल पोस्ट बहुत आसान है गोल पोस्ट चेंज कर लेना ये नहीं हो रहा ये कर लेते हैं ये नहीं हो रहा ये कर लेते हैं कहाँ नीचे तो जाते हैं हमेशा आई थिंक जब बिल्कुल नहीं हो रहा होता है ना यकीन मानो वहीं पे बाकी लोग आपसे अलग हो जाएंगे और आप उनसे अलग हो जाओगे वहीं पे छटते हैं लोग You have to be one which will say like, hey, come on, I'll do it. And I promise that you'll be doing it. There's nothing which you cannot do it. The only thing is that we accept that we may not do it. I'm saying not because of the sake of saying, I believe in this. I've seen it happening in front of my eyes. Alright, to talk about the interview, I would like to simply mention that interview is like, I mean, they're getting you inside. But then inside we have so many persons, so many personalities, so many of us. Like I am a daughter for somebody, I am a son for somebody, I am a niece for somebody, I am a cousin for somebody, I am a friend for somebody, I am something for somebody and something for somebody. Please in interview don't forget, what are they are looking you for? So I basically open that file which I want to present to that person. If I am going for the interview, which is for a sales girl, they should see that I can be a good sales girl. If they are interviewing me for an IAS officer, I should be expressing myself as if they see the IAS officer. And each one of us have got all of them inside. So this is something which I would like to say. You have to sell yourself depending on the requirement. The same monitor opens differently depending on the command that we give. So it is very important and pertinent that we give command, and then you should always never ever lose the sense of perspective. Quite often you lose the sense of perspective. Imagine they say that you are the Prime Minister of India, what would you do? First you smile. And it's like, first I'll do this, the second I'll do this, the third I'll do this, the fourth I'll do this, sixth I'll do this. I counted sixth. Whatever. I'll do this. And then ultimately, you're insulting the Prime Minister of India. That is, they will be full to me. You will imagine that doing that, but you can think in next 1 minute. That's not like it. Always maintain from where you are speaking. You do not understand the kind of condition which the Prime Minister has to work. The poor man, how many hours he is able to sleep, not even the whole country is bothered about it. We sleep and get up in the body and complain. But then, are you aware about how he really works and what kind of cost that he pays for becoming the Prime Minister of the biggest country of the world, biggest democracy of the world? Amazing. So cannot lose your sense of perspective. So whenever you're giving answer, from the point where you are answering, answer like that. And play out yourself. And when I say you, even if I'm asking what is in your opinion, let's say a lot of questions are asked in UPSC. What in your opinion should be the role of bureaucrat and judiciary in this? What should, in your opinion, is the performance of this government? See, never ever get personally engaged with that. There's something called persona. Persona is a masked personality. My personality is a combination of me being a father, me being a husband, me being a brother, me being a colleague, me being a whatever. But then I wear mask different time differently. I don't get the same mask every time. So that's my persona. Now I'm interacting as a teacher to you. That's my persona which I'm interacting. But then I would say that when you are in an interview, clear the mask of the persona. And when they ask you that what in your opinion, do not give your personal opinion. Give the opinion of the post for which you are being hired. Are you getting that point? Always you give the opinion of that. And whenever the questions are given, do not start answering straight away. Like quite often the question comes, I start answering. But then that's in a way, I would say, a disrespect to the question setter. Let the question crystallize in your mind, know the contour of it, and it takes 2 seconds, 3 seconds maximum. If it is longer than 5 seconds, you take permission. Can I think for a second? That's quite often very positively taken. Well, this person is giving respect to my question. So in that case, comprehend yourself, know the contour, and then possibly answer after that. And then identify where is the core. A lot of time, I'll give you different structures of answers. It will be like if I have a question here, they'll start from here and then gradually come. And then even if before they come here, the examiner would say like, hey, come on, let me ask you a different question. Let's say that if they are asking about what are the environmental challenges faced in Jaipur because of illegal mining, coaling going on around the city. You start saying, sir, mining is a major problem, and because of the open cast mining, we have got lots of places the blasting is being done, and this blasting related lots of judgment Supreme Court has given. We haven't come to Jaipur. The examiner would say that, hey, she hasn't understood my question. She's like, alright, let me ask a different question. Don't let that feeling happen. Start with the core of the question, and then go building around. So the structure of the answer, one answer is like this. Are you getting that? So one answer is like that. Quite often you may not be able to reach the core of the question. That's not good. So you start with the core of the question. Sometimes they say like what are the challenges? There are challenges of the open cast mining is that there are the Jaipur mining is that they have blasted off and then lots of particulate matters have gone into the sky, and the particulate matters are different types. They are identified by the micron size, and some micron size which are affecting health, particularly in the case of pulmonary liver edema happens because of those. Can you see my structure? I started from the core and I'm going every sentence away from the core. I've gone into the pulmonary edema and I'm talking about all cell-related problem that we have got. And I leave the answers there itself. That's also a bad answer. Now, which is a good answer? This answer is a bad answer. This answer is a bad answer. My point is that answers the structure when you're giving the interview. Of course, it will be a little more tricky and gradually you'll understand. It's like vertically, horizontally, gradually moving. This is the good structure of the answer. Can you get that? Take one point, speak for 1-2 sentences, get to the core, speak 1-2 sentences, get back to the core, speak 1-2 sentences and get back to the core. And then last point get concluded back to the point. You have to anchor it back. Unless you anchor it, the examiner will be left with the last point. And I always recommend, this is a practice which you should be doing, that you should be actually in fact, before any interview I would recommend, first find out what are the core areas that we have got, what are the job that we have got, go typing that whatever is IAS examination or any other examination, whatever you have to go, you just type that, let's say railway recruitment exam that you have got, or whatever LIC or GIC or bank, any recruitment exam that you have got, just type that and go Google News. Then take your own tab, detailed application form. In that you type and Google News, like your name would have some Jaipur as. So Google News Jaipur, Google News Rajasthan, Google News your name, Google News your whatever. So all those things which happen in the recent time around that, you should be actually preparing some questions on them. Now what I ask you is that put those questions somewhere in a heap of pieces. You write down in the furray and then put it there. Pick one question, because your personality mostly is written personality. You mostly write and the mind gives slowly, and the gap between hand and the mind is also too big. So gradually also given it gets delivered. But the gap from here to here is very small. So it has to be actually trained that you have to think faster. So to evolve as a personality, second personality, I would recommend that you go on collecting those questions, put those questions on the burner, pick up one question, read it aloud, and speak for 30 seconds. And when you're speaking for 30 seconds, you would find that suddenly you are not able to speak beyond 5 seconds. Or sometimes you're coming to the main point at 25 seconds. So it will go another 1 minute. No way. You have to stop at 30 seconds sharp. And then tape it, record it, listen to it yourself. And when you are listening to yourself, you get lots of advices. Oh, come on, you thought about this point and we never spoke about it. Oh, come on, you speak the same point so many times. Oh, come on, where are you starting? The question is there. There's nothing better than auto advices that we generate. My advices go to you with so many filters, but the advices that you will be able to give to yourself by listening to yourself will be absorbed in the right place from where it originated. I suppose you got the point. So that way I would expect that you will start practicing those questions, and then you will find in a few days' time that a lot of changes happens. In fact, for the kind of sector that I come from, civil service examination, general studies is very important. And this general studies is something which is what I would imagine is not taught beyond schools. I mean, otherwise you get specialized in psychology or commerce or history or geography or whatnot. You got different discipline subjects. But then what happens? You end up becoming a good psychologist or a big chemist or big physicist or whatever, big geographer, but very tunnelized. But then, even if you learn the skill of swimming, the competition is for cycling. So it is very important that we will be doing some general studies preparation alongside. And general studies, if you ever been to KSG website, I'd like you to invite tonight, just look at ksgindia.com, ksgindia.com, Khan Study Group. In that, if you're looking at, we are putting up lots of general studies stuff that you are possibly expected to be asked in an interview, asked to be like anybody's important, any matter for anybody's importance. So those things are placed there. Pick up from there, develop your own opinion. But your opinion, when I say, it should not be your personal opinion. Your opinion should be opinion of the genre, the group, the feather that you belong. The youth of the country, who is hopeful, positive, and constructive. Looking at the sunny side up. Never be cynical. Sad part is that most of you read books and articles written by my generation. We are almost spent force. All the problems that you're sharing around is all created by us. But then if I'm hiring you, not to remind me of the problems that I have created, I'm hiring you to solve the problems. I'm glad that you know this word. Solve the problem. So even if I ask that, what are the problems, I want to hear some smell of hope in that problem that you're listening for me. Speak out. You don't ever lose your sense of perspective. Speak out your mind, speak out your age, speak out your hope, speak out of your positivity. That is very, very important in this entire interviews that we have got. And whenever the group discussions, etc. come, please, for showing leadership, lots of students I have seen, they have got a misconception that I should be showing a leadership. I mean, a leader is not who leaves everybody behind and moves ahead. A lot of people in the breed of becoming a leader of the group, they speak and nobody likes it. A leader is somebody, when he speaks, everybody is quiet. I hope you're getting that. Leader is somebody who basically instills confidence into, yes, you have a valid point, you're good, you've done well. So if you have those kind of leadership qualities where you can encourage, leading is not like leaving people behind. That's something which I would like to mention. In fact, this would go on and on. I'm not sure about the timing that we have got. If there's any particular question that you have got as an individual, I can possibly handle that. Do you have any question, any one of you? Yes?
Sir, actually I have a problem. Like you said that we should focusing on one goal at a time and it should be big. So sometimes we often set unrealistic goals for ourselves. So how can we curb the goals realistically and how to get to it, because everything goes in a process.
Very good question. Everybody heard what she said? See, if I say that I have to go to Delhi, driving Delhi, right? Do you think that I look at Delhi and start driving from here? No. So what I'm basically trying to share here is that make a thorough assessment of your potentials and ask for the generation that you have around you. Are you weaker than any one of them to realize that goal? If answer is like, no, they all are very strong, I cannot do it, I have missed the bus. So if you want to become, let's say, you want to play badminton, for example, and you look at your age, that in my age, who are those my competitors? Am I anywhere close to them? If they have already got some skill and I have got that, no, I don't think I can do. So that's unrealistic. But then if I am doing graduation and then after that I will be qualified to write IAS examination, the biggest examination of this country, as they say. So are those people who are actually going to write with me, they are ahead of me? If the question comes, yes, they are all ahead of me, they all have prepared for this examination, I will not ever think of it. But then if you are talking about something which is where you can see nobody is ahead of you, that is a realistic goal. But then I don't look at Delhi and drive from here. I look at next 1 hour. If I have to give examination in 2019, next 1 hour is my goal. That jaywalker is my goal. The door is the goal. The next scooter wala is a goal. And then small goal, and it gets accomplished, you can reach there. So realistic valuation is very important. Like you have done commerce, for example, and then can I become an engineer now? So that way it is not possible, so you can possibly skip that. But then look around you, assess yourself, and then actually move.
So do you think that if I set a goal, for example, I want to give an IAS examination, and if I already know that there are people who will sit in examination with me and they are ahead of me. So
who are they and how they are ahead?
In terms of preparation.
How they
like my peers or my batchmates or people who are younger than me, who have started preparing earlier than me.
You think time has a factor here?
Yeah, exactly.
So how come Tina Dabi got the topper's position in 21 years of age? And there was a boy, again from KSG, even 2-3 months younger than her, Ansar. He also from KSG, and he also got IAS. Do you think that age is a real parameter that you are matching it? You probably standing all the way. You remember that I said sometime back? Don't stand. I can do it. Zid karna padega beta. And I think then that will give some craving. And then sari kainat milke the. I think you remember that. Yeah. That's what alchemist would say. Or Shah Rukh Khan would say. Yes. Do we have any question, Mo? Yes? No. So, ma'am, we don't have any more questions on this. So, I suppose I really was very enthusiastically looking forward to talking to you. The young people, they are my source of energy. I learn a lot of things from you people. Yes, we have one question coming up. Yes, please. Little louder, please.
I want to become an IAS officer.
Amen.
But the question is, when they will ask us that why you want to become an IAS officer, what should be my answer? I mean,
why you want to become an IAS officer?
Exactly.
This is what I am asking.
What should I categorize? How should I categorize?
See, I can tell you the best.
You just said that while answering, you should think of an IAS officer, that you are an IAS officer and how the IAS officer will take you. So, what should be the answer to this question?
I think I'll put it last year, 2016, batch rank 3. This was asked to that person, why you want to become an IAS officer? He gave, my dad wants to become an IAS officer. So I become an IAS officer. This could be as big a reason. He's ranked 3 of the country. In the same year when Athar Aamir got 2nd, Tina got 1st, and that boy is the 3rd rank I'm talking about. I didn't know that. He was not from KSG. Tina was only telling us this was his answer. So it could be as simple as that. But trust me, nobody knows better than you for this answer because you want to become IAS officer, not me. Ask yourself. See, you
As simple as we are, not such.
You actually very simple to me. Why not? Play it out. That's what I'm saying. Play out yourself. Play out yourself. You best when you are honest. your best when you are yourself. Less complicated, less. You can say that this is a fantastic career. It's one job which gives you a good career opportunity also and a service also. You've seen some good experiences of some sibling who may have, you have seen some IAS officer performing and serving the nation. I think it can be anything, but it has to be your answer. I don't want to give any development answer because you want to become an IAS officer. I hope I have been able to convey to you. Yes, thank you. I think I would like to thank once more and thank you very much. It was really lovely being there. And if any one of you have got any further query, you could always shoot us on the ksgindia.com, the website I was talking about. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. And you can have, ma'am would have my details. If you have got any personal queries also, I'll be very happy sharing my number with ma'am. So she will definitely pass it on to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.